So hello everyone, in this video we are going to see another problem of recursion, which is printing the elements 1 to n using recursion. So this problem is similar to the previous problem that we have seen, which was printing the number of elements n to 1, but here the sequence is changed. We have to print the numbers from 1 to n. So suppose, for example, as the input we are given a number n equals to 4. So what we have to do, we have to simply start printing the numbers from 1 until 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If we are given 6, what we will do is we will simply print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from 1 to 6 we have to print, which is n. So this we can also do by using loop, but in this video we are going to see how we are going to make use of recursion for solving this problem. So let's see now. So basically what we will do, first of all, we will write a function which will simply print the elements. So print 1 to n, and now int n. So simply we are taking the value which is the integer value n, and now what we have to do is, suppose for example if our n value is 4, then in this case first of all we don't have to print 4 as the first element. So we will not write cout or print statement first. Instead what we will do is we will kind of break this, or we will call some other function which will be smaller than this. Suppose 4, after 4 we will call 3, and we first have to print 1. So we will not again print 3, we will simply call 2, again 2 will call 1, and then when 1 is called it will be print. So initially what we will write is the first statement should be calling the same function for a smaller value, which will be print 1 to n, and the argument will be n minus 1. Simply this, and then once this is done we will print the n value. So in this case we will get the our desired output, which will be printing 1 to n, and the base case will be same. That is, if when the n value reaches 0, we just have to simply return. Let's see now how this code will work. So basically we will see the execution of this function that we have, which is print 1 to n, and the number which we are taking an example is 4. So first of all, when this function will be called, it will check if n equals to 0. So this condition is not true, so it will simply move on to this statement, and it will call the same function for the value 3. Okay, so now it will again, when it will be called for 3, it will check if n equals to 0. No, it is again not equals to 0, it is 3 in this case. So it will the same function will be called, but for a value n equals to 2. Again it will check n is not equals to 0, so it will call another function which is for 1. Again n is not 0, so same function will be called for n equals to 0. Now when this function will be called for n equals to 0, it will simply return, and this function will be then returned. So now the execution reaches to this function call, which is print 1 to n, and our parameter value is 1. So this statement is executed now. We will reach this statement. So what it will do is it will simply print 1 over here. Okay, so now after printing 1, the execution of this function call is also over. It will simply return its value, and once this value is returned, this statement for n value 2 will be called, so it will print 2. Again in the similar fashion they all will return and will print their own values, so 3 and then 4. So once this is done, we will have this output something like this. Initially 1 will be printed, then 2, then 3, and then 4. So in this way we got the output as 1 to n, which is for the n value as 4, we got the value as 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's see the time complexity for this problem. So the time complexity for this problem will again be big O of n, because in the worst case we are making n calls. As you can see, when we have the value n value as 4, we made 4 calls. 4, sorry, n plus 1 function calls, because 0 is also called in this case, but as you know that n plus 1 calls will have the time complexity of big O of n only. And when we see the space complexity, again the space complexity will be big O of n, because if we see the function called step, it will take n values. So let's now see the code for this problem. So we have just written the same functions that we have seen just now in the explanation, where a function print n to 1 to n will be there in this case, because we are calling the function for 1 to n. The problem is to print the values from 1 to n, that's why. Now once this is done, simply it will take an integer n, and it's the value of n is 0, it will simply return. If not, it will first call the function again with a value n minus 1, and then we'll print the value n. So in the main function we will simply call for value 4, as we have seen in the example. So what it should do is it should print 1 to 4, right? So as you can see in the output, we have got the value as 1 2 3 4. So that's all for this video. We'll see next problem in the next video. Thank you.